G'day guys, full drive tyres. We ask a lot of our tyres when we're out there in the bush, and are yours up to scratch? Well, I've got 8 tips for you to consider when it comes to full drive tyres, so let's get into the video. Now there's a lot to be said about the little rubber tyres that your full drive actually sits on, because there's only a small patch of rubber about the size of your hand actually touching the road, and it's that small patch of rubber that allows you to accelerate, brake, steer, and then continue in the momentum where you want to go. And when it comes to full drive tyres, it's even more important because you need to make sure that they're up to scratch and ready for the job that you want them to go and do. Okay, so tip number 1 is safety first. Now please don't underestimate the importance that your tyres are in good condition and they're up to scratch. Because if your tyres can't direct you safely down the road, well, you could be in a world of trouble. And it's imperative that you check your tyres before heading away on a big trip, not only for your safety, but everyone else on the road. Tip number 2 is tyre construction. Now, tyre construction shouldn't be confused with tread pattern. The tyre construction is a designation that's given to that tyre. So if you're taking your full drive off-road, you need to be looking out for LT, which is light truck, stamped on the sidewall of your tyre, because these are built much stronger and designed to carry the heavy weight of your full drive while out on nasty terrain and not give you the issues that a HT, which is a highway tyre, or P for passenger vehicle, will give you. So number 3 is tread pattern. Now, the actual tread pattern is something that, most people are aware of. Now, you can get the normal road all-terrain tyre like most new full drives come with, or you can step up to the aftermarket all-terrain tyre or the full mud terrain tyre. So if you want an aggressive all-terrain, you don't have to go the full-blown mud terrain tyre to achieve aggressive traction, which is great. So it's important that you match your tread pattern to where you think you're mostly going to go full driving. Now, for example, you don't want to take a full drive with road terrain tyres down a wet slippery track, because that's only going to land you in a world of trouble. So if you can see yourself driving a lot of wet, muddy tracks, particularly during winter, well, get yourself a set of mud terrain tyres, or at least the aggressive all-terrain tyres, and that'll suit the conditions where you want to go driving. And that's why I've got the full mud terrain tyre, because it suits me all year round, because I get out and about a fair bit. Number 4 is age and wear. Now, tyre age is probably something that, a lot of people forget about, because over time, rubber deteriorates, and particularly in the sun, and therefore the rubber on your tyres goes hard and reducing your traction, particularly on wet bitumen roads. And when it comes to wear, taking a tyre that's almost down to its wear indicators on long punishing full drive tracks, or even across Australia, is probably not a good idea. And tyre wear should reflect how far you're travelling and how much you really depend on those tyres. Because if you go and blow a tyre, say, only an hour from home, well, it's not so bad to go and just get another one. But if you blow a tyre out in the middle of, say, Central Australia, and you haven't got another spare, it could be days before you see someone come along. And number 5 is running the right tyre pressures. Now, this is possibly the most important thing within your control when you get in a full drive, is the tyre pressures that you choose to run. So, setting your tyre pressures correctly, whether it be on a rocky track or a soft sandy beach, can be the difference between you getting through or your progress being halted very quickly. And the correct tyre pressures help to absorb the bumps and therefore give you more comfort inside, and they increase flotation and traction and decrease the chance of getting punctures and track damage. Number 6 is pick a common tyre size. So if you're planning to do a lot of remote travel, you want to try and pick a tyre size that's fairly readily available. Because if you run some obscure tyre size and you need to replace one in, say, Central Australia, you might be in for a rude shock on trying to find one. And not only could it cost you an absolute fortune, but you could be waiting a few days just to get the tyre size that you want, or even worse, you might be able to get that tyre size at all. Now just to have a chat about the tyre size that I've got on my patrol now, I've got the 285, 75, 16s on my Patrol. When my Patrol came out standard from new, it had 17-inch wheels on it, and I took those off and went back to a 16-inch wheel. Now, if you're going to consider doing this, you've got to make sure that you've got enough clearance around your front brake calipers before you consider putting smaller wheels on. But the other big advantage with doing this is the amount of extra sidewall you get in your tyres when you're out there full driving, because when you let your tyre pressures down, you know, your tyres come down a bit. So I've got that extra length in the sidewall there, and it works an absolute treat. So that's why I've got 16-inch wheels on my Patrol. Number 7 is look after your tyres. Now, caring for your tyres will ensure that they have a long and healthy life, and they'll keep performing how you need them to. Now, tyre pressures are the start of it, so make sure you pump them up before you head home on the blacktop. Because if you don't, they'll generate a lot of internal temperature, and that'll most likely result in a blowout as the tyre deteriorates from the inside out, and not to mention the amount of uneven wear it's going to inflict on your tread pattern. And rotate them regularly, including your spares. Now, I rotate my tyres every 5,000 Ks, give or take, and that includes my 2 spare tyres on the back. And that way, when you're doing regular rotations, you can keep an eye on how they're wearing and make any adjustments if you need to. Number 8, and the last tip, is there's no perfect tyre. Now, for some people, they run 2 sets of tyres for this very reason. Now, I have run 2 sets of tyres in the past, and if you're going away as regularly as I am, it's an absolute pain swapping tyres over depending on what sort of terrain you think you're going to go and drive for the weekend. So no matter what you get, there's going to be no perfect tyre to cover every single terrain. For example, the mud terrain tyre would be the most unsuitable tyre if you're going to do a lot of sand and beach driving because of its big open tread blocks. Having said that, with correct tyre pressures and careful usage of the right foot, you can, and I sure have, made these full mud terrain tyres work really well in both those conditions. Well, there you go, guys. So before you head away on your next big trip, have a look. Make sure that your tyres are up to scratch, and I hope those 8 tips about full drive tyres have helped you out, and fair chance I'll see you out in the bush someday.